Hey y'all, Michael Lunsford here, Citizens for New Louisiana. And I want to bring something to your attention. You know, a lot of times we put out an article, very detailed by the way, and I know most normal people don't click all of our source citation links that take you back to the documents that we have. So one of the reasons we started Citizens for New Louisiana a long time ago was because I was tired of reading opinions online, or even worse, news articles that are effectively opinion pieces that have no backup documentation. This one said that one said this. That's, you know, pick out whichever you think is the story and go with it. That's not really how we think over here. I'm more of the guy, if I'm going to tell you what I think, I'm going to have it backed up with documents. So part of that process is, in some cases, 6 months. I've been requesting records from this matter, and nothing. We don't have a single record. So this is the City of Youngsville. We've received a couple of veiled threats from folks out there, and it's a fake account online. I know who it is. You know, it's the same guy. It always is. But at any rate, he changes his account. Gets a new fake account every now and again, and could cause trouble. So instead of me pulling out some of the other stuff, which I have other good stuff on other matters we're doing investigations on, I figured, what the heck, let's do Youngsville, since we're getting some attention, albeit from, not necessarily the best attention from this guy. But here we go. This is a basic average everyday life in Citizens for a New Louisiana. On March 6, 2026, we requested a copy of the court reporter prepared transcript from the John Davison disciplinary appeal hearing held on January 27, 2026. Later that same day, you responded, we do not have a copy of the transcript at this time. We've made inquiries, and when a transcript is expected, we will follow up and let you know what we find out. Simple. Thereafter, while we're waiting, we obtained records concerning payment to the court reporting service related to the January 27, 2026 hearing. Those records reflect invoice number 50803 from Laura Heafy and Associates, LLC, for the matter identified as Civil Service Hearing John Davison. The invoice expressly references original transcript for John Davison and reflects an amount of $1,587 paid using taxpayer funds. The Associated City records further reflect approval and payment processing relating to that invoice. However, on May 22, 2026, nearly 2.5 months after my original request, I received a materially different explanation. We have been advised that no request or no transcript was requested of the disciplinary appeal hearing on January 27, 2026. Therefore, we have no documents responsive to your request. Respectfully. Now, see, they didn't know we were doing this other request, apparently. Maybe they did. But they didn't know we had the invoices for this stuff. So we had to send it to them. Respectfully, the May 22nd response appears difficult to reconcile with both the March 6th response and the city's own records. Accordingly, I respectfully request clarification sufficient to reconcile these representations in the city's own records. If no transcript exists, I ask that you explain how the city came to receive, process, and pay using taxpayer funds an invoice expressly referencing original transcript of John Davison in the amount of $1,587. The hearing lasted roughly 5 hours based upon the billing amount, the invoice description used, and the customary costs associated with court reporting services. The records reasonably suggest the processing and production of a transcript. It's in January. But they're going to play games with us, and they're going to say, we don't have the document, we don't have a record, we don't have anything. But the taxpayers paid for it. So where is it? And that is the question. And of course, we believe, it probably contains information. In fact, I was there. I sat there for the entire hearing. So I know there's information in there that is probably not favorable to some of the parties, and so they don't want it out there. At any rate, so that's part of the process. That is what we do. And so when you see an article from us that's complete, it's got all the citation links, you can click on them and see where they come from. You need to know that sometimes this stuff takes 6 months, a year. We've had some go that long. We've had some go a year or longer. We have some records requests outstanding right now for over 2 years. And we follow up occasionally, and we're told the same stuff. We have an exception, or we think this, or we think that, and we have to just stay on top of them. So when you wonder, how hard is it to do this work? It can be extremely difficult. And look, we can't do it without your support. So if you would, go to our website, newlouisiana.org, click on Become a Member, or make a one-time donation. We also, something I haven't talked about before, donor-advised funds are a way that a lot of folks have been giving lately. So if you have a donor-advised fund, you're more than welcome to engage in that way. We are with most of the big groups. New Louisiana Foundation is. So if you want to support the work that we do in the legislation, transparency side of things, that's a great way to do it. So again, appreciate it. Keep reading those documents, and we'll keep getting those documents for you to read. Until next time.